Hey, Coach Stacie here with Leah Clapper, and we are wrapping up our lessons with Leah. Ah, so sad and so excited.
Yes.
Yes. So normally here at Gymnastics Mindset Academy, we start with a 12-week coaching package because that's a great amount of time to really kind of learn a lot of the tools, work through some of the things, really start applying them. And Leah and I were talking and we realized last week was 12 weeks. So that was part of we're going to move on from them. But also, Leah, you've got so much going on in the next couple of weeks.
Yes, lots of exciting things.
So in light of the fact that there is so much going on, we're going to complete our Lessons with Leah podcast. We're probably going to come back and do an epilogue episode after nationals is over. But in light of that, I wanted you to just spend a few minutes with us telling us the things that stick out to you the most that you've learned that you want to take with you as you go forward.
Oh, there are so many things. I can't possibly name them all now. I feel like each week we talked about something that was so pertinent that helped me improve upon something that I was doing inside the gym or outside the gym that week and make changes. So it's impossible to say all of the little nuggets that really clicked, but there are several takeaways that I know I'm going to continue to use in so many situations moving forward in gymnastics and in life in general. And I'll give you a few of those. The first one being feeling your emotions. And I know we talked a lot about trying to process through emotions as you're feeling them instead of letting them, bubble up and you're just trying to push them down until they explode. And the process of just taking inventory of how you feel for a second, how an emotion feels in your body, and feeling those physical manifestations of the emotions, whether it's tight shoulders or a beating heartbeat or tingling hands or whatever it is, just being present with those feelings and letting that move through has definitely been very helpful. And I know I'm going to continue doing that. And on top of that, say what?
So that's the biggest one.
It is
Feel the feelings. When you can feel the feelings, you can deal with all the rest, right?
It is a huge one. And another phrase that we've said a lot in that conversation is you have the tools to deal with any emotion that comes your way. And that has given me a lot of comfort over the past several weeks. And sometimes things can feel so daunting in that we want to avoid a certain feeling or emotion so much that what we're actually afraid of is the feeling that we're going to have from something, not the actual circumstance. And just realizing that and remembering that, hey, I can deal with emotions. It will be uncomfortable, but I have the tools that I need has been a big game changer for me.
Yeah.
I would say that is probably one of the number one lessons with Leah that I've taken away. The next one is equal airtime, in that our brains like to spiral into negative thought patterns and we can start making the same bad associations over and over and over and going down the rabbit hole, and remembering that, hey, I'm afraid this thing is going to happen. But also, what if, the awesome version of it happened? This bad thing could happen, but also this great thing could happen. And even though some of those bad things that could happen feel really scary, remembering that it's not a definite yet and shining light on the good possibilities. We talked about that analogy of the light on your forehead, like you're in a mine, like just shifting your light to illuminate the good side and deciding to focus on that, because there's really no use in focusing on the bad side, because then you're just feeling the disappointment or the negative emotions multiple times, when if it happened, you would only have to feel it once. So that was another big takeaway, and something that I'm still working on. That
was kind of what we just coached on today, right? Was that same topic of like, we're gonna focus on that positive potentials instead of the negative ones.
I think that one might be one of the hardest for me, and it's
so hard.
Changed across the course of my life. I've found myself veering towards the negative more recently, I would say, than I have in the past. And just knowing that I can get back to like being the person that focuses on the positive is, who I want to be, and definitely working on that. So those are two huge ones. There are so many more. I also really like our discussion about visualization, and just how it's so true that feeling things in your mind, it really is almost as good as doing an actual repetition with your body. And that has been the catalyst to some of the most tangible improvements that I've made as far as skills go in practice and in competition. So I'd say those are my big three. I'm sure I could come up with.
And I want to add in the one with the visualization. Like, I think a lot of mindset training teaches visualization. And one of the things that happens is a lot of kids say they have a hard time visualizing, because you have to first do the mindset work of getting to the positive thought. And then when you can get to the positive thought and you've dealt with the negative emotions and you've shifted your thinking to the positive thought, then you can visualize that one. And I think that's one of the things, is putting those together is where like all the power lies. Because when you can shift and figure out the positive thought, you can start believing that, and then you can visualize that outcome. That's when you create magic.
Absolutely. And yeah, I could list so many more, but those I would say are my top three. And I'm so grateful that we've done this for the past 12 weeks. And I'm excited to continue on the mindset coaching journey, even though it might not look like Lessons with Leah podcast recording forevermore. But I hope everybody has enjoyed it. And apparently I constantly need somebody to talk to about uncertainty. And that is also a lesson that I've learned. I've learned a lot of ways to deal with it, but for me, it also helps to talk about it.
Yes.
And I feel so much better now that we've done this episode, that my feelings have been validated about, counting down the days till the end of season, excited, but also like freaking out in a way, and just like getting that off my chest. Talking about it, putting it out into the world is really soothing to me. And I know that writing it down also does help me a lot. But another bonus little lesson, that sometimes, there's a lot of things that are going on, and there's a lot of tools that we all have, but sometimes just talking about it with somebody and having those little reminders, or just getting things out of your own head where you can get all crazy thoughts inside, is just so beneficial.
Yeah. Well, that was going to be my last question for you. Well, in two parts. One is, what has kind of been your favorite part of getting coached, of mindset coaching? And then two would be, what would you tell someone? So we're about to do a free training this Saturday where we're going to do kind of the initial journey for a lot of people. That'll be their very first experience with us before they move into maybe more coaching in the future. And I remember us having conversations back at at National Congress when we were doing a booth together. And you were kind of like, I'm good, just kind of in the and in the genuine, like, you're like, I'm a very positive person. I've got very positive, healthy thinking, which you did. So being that person that already was in a pretty good mental space, what would you tell others about getting mindset coaching? So first, what's been your favorite part? And then two, what would you tell others?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I was a little bit skeptical at first because I've done a lot of sports psychology and mindset type work in the past. And I felt that, okay, of course I don't know everything. Nobody does, but I have this massive toolkit that I can use to be successful. And it's almost like we go through our lives and we have this whole giant basket of tools. We might even have a whole storage room full of the things that we can use to have a good mindset towards life, but we just leave it at home. We go out and live our lives. Like, I have this great, perfect top of the line toolkit, but then I walk into the gym and I left it in my closet. And we all just can become victims of our own minds.
Yes.
Even when we try so hard not to. And so for me, just getting on a call each week and being like, I know this is dumb, and I know I don't want to be acting and feeling this way, but I want it to be different, has just been the biggest thing. Because sometimes when you just talk about stuff, it's like, well, now I see the path forward. And sometimes you need a little bit of a nudge to be successful. And I've come into so many calls where I'm like, oh, I'm having this one stress that's really bogging me down this week in or out of the gym. And I don't want to talk about that because, well, for one, we've been doing things for podcast recordings. I'm like, do I really want to share this with the world? And I even feel guilty about doing this or thinking this. So I just want to keep it to myself and coach on something else. And hopefully I'll figure this out. But every time, without fail, I end up sharing it. And I feel so much better afterward. And that has been one of the biggest blessings this season. Just being able to, have these coaching sessions to get things off my chest and remind me to bring some of my tools that I have in my fancy toolkit out into the world and actually use them.
Yeah. And the thing that I think for me, because I've done lots of different mindset coaching, counseling over the years, the tools that we have created make it simpler to bring them into the gym. That, it kind of just is the bringing all of that complexity of knowledge and being like, okay, let's simplify it into this one thing. So
it's almost like you, Stacie, have been handing me the tools that I need each week. And even though I left my whole thing at home, you brought them with you and you're like, nope, just this one, just focus on this. And this is the one thing that you need. And then of course it works. It helps me build the thing that I need. So been really thankful for these past 12 weeks. And it's been great. Thank you.
And what would you say to somebody on the fence about whether or not they should jump into some mindset coaching, even just a free training this weekend?
Well, you just said it. You said there's a free training this weekend. So might as well take that free training and give it a try, because you're not going to know what something is like until you try it. We talked so much about uncertainty. Also, keep an open mind. I would say, I even think that our first couple sessions, there was some things that I had barriers in my mind that were like, okay, well, that seems like a good tip, but it's kind of making me feel worse.
Yeah.
Or actually, that didn't quite work for me. And after we got through those hurdles and I shared my concerns with the way things were not working for me, it got so much better.
Yeah.
And you've done an amazing job adapting the lessons to my particular experience. And I think that's an important thing to keep in mind. First, try it to see how you feel. And second, don't dismiss right away, just because you don't have this massive breakthrough the first session or the free train. Like, give it 3. Of course, like, maybe mindset coaching isn't the perfect fit for everybody, but it's hard to think that there won't be at least one thing that you can take away to make your life better. And, you know, as with anything, like, incorporate what you learn with what you already believe and what you already know. Like, you get to make it your own. And I'm not gonna lie, I haven't like put into practice single thing we've talked about.
Absolutely.
But like the 10% of it that we have talked about that really resonated with me has made a huge difference. And I just, you know, dropped the rest.
Totally.
And it's been so worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to touch on that because it's true for most gymnasts, I think. Like most gymnasts, we really have been taught that feeling negative emotions is going to create bad results for you. Like you need to not feel your fear or focus on your fear because then it'll make it worse. You need to not like give into nervousness and you need to push those down. And so that initial experience of feeling negative emotions and sitting in them before moving into the new, so we have our unintentional model that's like, this is what your current thinking is actually getting you and you're feeling. It's so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it's so what we've been taught not to do. I feel like most gymnasts have a hard time moving through the like how to feel your negative emotions and then how to like understand what your brain is giving you before we move into then like how to shift it to the more positive ones. So I even love that you share that because I do think that is hard for a lot of gymnasts. But if you get past that part, it's hard for humans. Like I remember when I was like, the only feelings I know that I can identify are mad, sad, and hungry. That's it. I got nothing else.
Yeah.
And so like, it's just an uncomfortable part, but moving through it is so worth it in the end when we get to the part that then it's like, oh, now I can see why feeling those like is good.
Absolutely.
Because now I know I can and I don't have to be afraid of them.
Totally. It's a practice too. I mean, it's like gymnastics. Like you have a coach for your mind, just like you have a coach for your body. You can't expect to learn every new skill in the gym in one day.
Yes. Love
you
that.
have to keep coming back on a regular basis and practicing it and failing and flopping and learning what works and figuring it out. And you're constantly evolving. And, you know, what really matters is that you're trying to make a little bit of progress each time, and it will add up to a big difference.
100%. Love it. Well, these have been the highlight of my week. I have really enjoyed doing lessons with Leah, and I look forward to watching you through the rest of the season and to our epilogue where we kind of wrap it all up. So, yeah. Bye, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you so much.